What is up, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to a bonus video. Ooh, I know, right? I spoil you guys. Just kidding. But yeah, I found myself a little bit of extra time, and if I'm doing it this format instead of the hyper edited one, I'll be able to sneak in an extra video here and there for spoilers. I was a little too excited to wait till Wednesday to make a video and post it, so here we are. But yeah, let's just get into it. We're gonna be here in Scryfall, starting with nom nom nom, best fake name ever. 1 mana, sorcery, costs 1 white. As an additional cost to cast a spell, tap an untapped creature you control. Exile target tapped creature, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature tapped to cast this spell. Before I saw a tapped creature, I was thinking this was amazing and incredible, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of bold for them to do. And then I saw it was a tapped creature, and I'm like, oh. My first thought is like, hey, this is kind of cool in like a Bant counters deck, because if you got like, you know, a Shark to Crab or a, oh gosh, Growth Chamber Guardian or something like that, that's kind of cool synergy. But in other decks, like you might as well just be playing, because it assumes that your creatures are small enough that they're going to want to attack in, or you have something to tap them down, like a Giant Killer or something. But even then you would need 2 creatures, because the Giant Killer already tapped to tap down their creature. So you're tapping down 2 creatures and using a card to kill 1 creature. At that point, you could just use, I'm pretty sure in Standard there's a 2 cost or 3 cost spells that just kill tapped creatures. So you're effectively paying, and the problem with all those is that your opponent already hit you, right? So this putting you back for that hit and then also tapping down a creature to the point where maybe you'll take another hit from your opponent just makes me feel like this could be a little too slow. It kind of depends on the deck. It is pretty interesting that you could effectively, if you're going super wide, you could trade up really easy in terms of mana cost. So like, let's say, I don't know, you're mono red and you have like some, I guess you wouldn't be mono red, you're Boros, and you have some Annex tokens lying around, and you want to be able to swing in with like your Annex and your Steamkin and stuff, and your opponent taps out for like an Uro or I guess a Dream Troll if you're attacking for lethal. Something huge, right? And in this format, there'll be a lot of huge creatures. I could see it being kind of a cool tempo play. It just kind of sucks because you're also seems like you're kind of losing tempo for tapping your creature. So it's kind of at odds with itself, not really. Well, no, but theirs has to be tapped again. Yeah, I don't really like this the more I look at it. The whole premise I was building was based on their creature not having to be tapped. So either you need a tapper, which both of them cost mana and have to tap themselves, so you're trading 2 creatures and a card to tap down their dude, and at that point the tempo you're losing. And they would have had to have already attacked, so it doesn't really work really well on aggressive decks. I guess as a defensive spell. Okay. No, I was gonna say Uro, but it's not when he's tapped, it's when he attacks. I don't think I'm a fan. Because, okay, if you're using this defensively, it maybe could be interesting, because then you play a creature, and then even if it has summoning sickness, you can still cast it, because this is the thing initiating the tapping, not the creature. But even then, if you're on the defensive, you don't want to have to tap down a creature for this. The fact that it exiles is the only thing that I think could make it playable. The +1/+1 counter is kind of a bonus. Like, maybe I could see, like, you're going to have to play weirdly on curve for a lot of these payoffs, but like, I don't know, turn 3 you play like a Growth Chamber Guardian, and then you nom their Annex or something. Well, no, their Annex couldn't be tapped. Their Runaway Steamkin, if it's turn 3, their Runaway Steamkin, and then you get to fetch up another Growth Chamber Guardian, I guess. Stupid Facebook. Yeah, I guess I'm not a huge fan. We will see, though. If this can work well with like a Shark to Crab or something, I could maybe be on board for some jank, but I don't really like it very much. Alright, next we got Thwart the Enemy. 2 and a green for an instant. Prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. We have a couple fog effects in Standard. Hopefully it's not enough to have another fog deck, because that made me want to kill myself. But 3 mana for 1-sided fog, It's like just good enough that one random person on ladder is going to play it and you're going to get hella blown out. So be aware of that, but I don't think it's going to make waves unless it's like a dedicated fog deck, which I hope isn't a thing. Go for blood. Cost 1 in red for sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Cycle it for 1 mana. I feel like this is the best part of the card right here. When you get to this card, you'll understand why. Ooh, and this card. Yeah, but the fact that you can have something... The fact that we have Domri's Ambush makes it kind of like, it's just so much better, because your creature doesn't take damage, and you get a counter, and you can hit Planeswalkers. This is like only red. It's not... It's monocolored, sure. And the cycling's pretty neat against decks where you don't have targets. That's kind of cool. But I feel like the main thing that would make this playable is the cycling. But for now, we have Domri's Ambush. So I'd wait till rotation, probably. But if you're going chest guy of these effects, we got something to help you out for Escape Protocol. 1 in a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 1. When you do, exile target artifact or creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Dude, we got straight up Astral Slide. My favorite dance. One thing I'm not seeing a ton, though, I guess if we scroll down. So, a lot of the cycle cards I don't see ETB effects, except for the Rooting Moloch. Not an ETB trigger. No into the battlefield trigger. Nope. Yeah, so off of like just what I'm seeing and what I remember, you'd have to have kind of a split in your deck of... Okay, here's a question then though. When they mutate onto the creature on top plus all abilities from under it. So if you flicker a mutated creature, it doesn't trigger the mutate effects again. And that's what I'm thinking this is pretty good with Vadrak. Because you can bring it back. That's kind of cool. And then you can cycle non-creature spells. That's kind of cool. But the blink effects, I'm not seeing a lot of enter the battlefield triggers from the creatures that fit this archetype. Or at least the Jeskai version. Maybe there's like a Bant version or something with a lot more enter the battlefield triggers you can pull off. But like, yeah, right now what I'm seeing is not a lot of flicker effects to take advantage of. So this could be really cool. I think it'd be fun for like a little meme-rooney deck. But from what we're seeing right now, I'm not seeing a lot of enter the battlefield. Yeah, Flickering Flourishing Fox is actively bad. Yeah, I don't see any cyclers. The crystals. I guess you could flicker a crystal to untap it. So if you have something that makes your crystals tap for an additional mana, and you could cycle something for 1, and then you pay the 1, so that's 2 mana, untap the crystal, and the crystal taps for 2. Maybe you could go like semi-infinite if you just draw a million cyclers in a row. Yeah, doesn't seem amazing right now. We're gonna have to see more cyclers with enter the battlefield triggers. Right now we have just the 1, and it's 2 mana intensive to really take advantage of. So maybe in some deck we have some interesting split, but we already have cards like Thassa and like Charming Prince. You don't really have to add the whole cycling side of things to make a blink deck. We already have one. So I hope it could be good. Man, and the thing with Astral Slide, I think, is you were able to exile blink opposing creatures too. So you were able to, like, you know, postpone combat and save yourself some damage. So yeah, it's cheaper to play, but I just don't think it really has a place yet. But I hope it does. Alright, next we got Lightning Felix. Oh, that's an amazing name, Scryfall. Red and a white for a 3/2 elemental cat. Cool creature types. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. If you do, Lightning Felix deals 2 damage to target creature and you gain 2 life. Sorry, after I read Helix, it's hard not to. Don't like it. I wish I did like it. Honestly, if this was a 2/3, I think I'd like it a lot more, oddly enough. There's just Stomp and Shock are played in so many decks. Even Chandra's Pyrohelix was a sideboard card. Scorching Dragonfire is played main deck in like teamer decks. And it's so mana intensive, right? If it cost 1, I could be like, ooh, yeah, maybe we could do that. But the fact of the matter is that if you're really trying to take advantage of this, you need a 1 cycling cost card for the next turn, and then the most you're affecting the board is 2 damage something, you gain 2 life, which is a decent amount, right? But against the wrong decks, like, that's not doing a whole lot. And so literally you're expecting to, by turn 6, right, with 6 lands on the battlefield, you're going to have 2 1 cycling cards, and you can deal 4 damage and gain 4 life. You can't even hit players or planeswalkers. Yeah, okay, it can't even hit planeswalkers. So again, some decks it's straight up dead, but then the 3/2 body's pretty decent, but it still dies easy. Even like Cry of the Carnarium or Flame Sweep. So even the most like basic sweepers, it's still very vulnerable to. So yeah, I think it's just not flexible enough. And don't get me wrong, I think it'd be super fun if you're going off against like the right decks. But even then, when I say the right decks, I was going to say mono red, but mono red is all the removal in the world for this card. Yeah, just 2 damage removal is just too prevalent. Disfigures in this format. It's yeah, I don't think it's good for the format right now. A little too mana intensive, a little too slow, a little too inflexible, unfortunately. Mini lightning helixing stuff is my favorite. I love lightning helix. But yeah, I just don't think this will make it. I'm trying to think like what jank builds could really take advantage of it. If we have something like reduces the cost of cycling cards, then maybe we could be talking. If you want to go super deep, I'm talking super deep, there's the Biomancer's Familiar. Could reduce the cost of this down to 1. But A, Biomancer's Familiar is also a 2/2, so it dies easily. B, that's 4 colors to reduce this effect by a 1. And C, that's not a powerful effect. So I wouldn't recommend going deep on that, but I might at some point. Yeah, not thinking this is fantastic right now. Alright, next we got Sea-Octopus, 1 blue for a 2/2 octopus with flash. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, and you can mutate for 2. Oh baby, I like this. Yeah, it's effectively like a 2 mana flash Curious Obsession, which is pretty sick. But you can also play it as a creature. So I actually really like this. Why is the Flash deck getting so many new toys, dude? It's already like really good. It's already like a player in Standard. At least against the decks I like to play. The art's cool. The 2/2 body is kind of concerning, but I guess you can mutate it underneath something else. I'm trying to think like what you could play like a 1/1 flyer and then flash this onto it. And then, because that's the whole deal, is you want to be able to flash this in and then untap with it. So, yeah, I kind of like it. Because effectively, you could play like that 2 mana 2/1 with flash that gets counters, and then the body's not a problem if you mutate this onto it. That's pretty powerful. But granted, they're probably just not going to let that thing get so big so fast that you probably don't want to put your card advantage on it as well. Unless your opponent just isn't playing creatures. Because usually you just get hit with that thing 2, maybe 3 times and you're dead. Because it usually, by the time it's hitting me for like 5 or 6 when I play against the flash decks. So, but yeah, I think this could absolutely be a card. I'm trying to think what other uses it could have. Teamer Flash already has Spectral Sailor, which I think is a better sideboard card. By Teamer Flash I mean Reclamation, which is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I just like it in the Flash decks, and I think it'll be really good in those as like maybe even a sideboard card. But yeah, a Flash Curious Obsession is nothing to sneeze at. Speaking of Flash decks, we got Flashy Rogue. Costs 2 Dimir, so blue or black or blue for a 2/2 creature human rogue with flash. Spells you cast with flash cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. Come on, man. Come on, like Flash needed any more help. So then you could play spells you cast with flash cost 1 less to cast. So this octopus, or octopus, as people say. No one says that. You can mutate it for 1. So it's literally, because this is you casting the spell, it's alternative casting cost, but it still has flash. Cast it for 1. So it really is a flash curious obsession out of this guy. That's pretty neat. Can't be countered. That seems amazing for the mirror match or against blue-white. Oh my gosh, because then you play this on end step and your opponent either has to tap out to counter it and then you get to land your Nissa or something, or you flash in an end step and they don't counter it and then you just get to do whatever you want at a better rate. So that's messed up. I guess, what's the wording on the line of anticipation? You may cast spells as though they had flash. Okay, so lane line, if this gave things flash, everything you cast would be discounted. That would be really cool, but you can cast them as though they had flash. It doesn't give them flash, so that's a bummer. That would have been a really cool synergy. But yeah, I mean, you just play this turn 2, Night Pack Ambusher turn 3. Decent. Doesn't discount the Mystic Snake type dude because he has no colorless in his mana cost. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, you just play this turn 2, turn 3, you get to play the 2/1 flash dude for 1 mana and then hold up a Quench or an Essence Scatter or a Negate. It just seems kind of stupid. Is he better? What would he go in the slots for flash right now? That's what we're thinking. I could see him in sideboard slots probably. That's where I'd see him most likely, against blue-white or something. And that would be a great sideboard card. Could you imagine trying to be blue-white playing against this? With they have 4 mystical disputes and 4 this guy. So they're going to have the board presence to pressure your Teferi and the mystical disputes to keep them off the board. And then your flash stuff can't get countered. They can still counter your counter spells. So that's something. But oh man. They can't cash or can't cash. I was gonna say they can't counter your flash cards like Frilled Mystic. So that's just a counter spell that can't be countered. That's pretty dope. So you just hold that back against like Shatter the Skies and Dream Trawlers and stuff. Yeah, it's just making your threats uncounterable seems pretty disgusting. Good sideboard card, I say. Alright, next we got Lord Drakus, 1 blue, red for a 2/3 lizard beast. Okay. One might even say that's a dragon. Whenever this creature mutates, return target instant or sorcery card from graveyard to your hand and mutate for hybrid blue-red. Blue-red. So 2 mana, either blue-blue, red-red, or blue-red. I think this is interesting. It still has the same problem as the other fella had, Bedrock, where there's kind of a tension here between creature spells and non-creature spells. Your creatures get back your non-creature spells. But I mean, blue-red Drakes kind of made that work. Arclight Phoenix kind of made that work. So, but the problem is, Crackling Drake, you don't need a second creature to make use of it, right? Niv Mizzet, the blue-red one, you didn't need another creature to mutate onto to make it good. So in that regard, I do like the curve of this guy into Vedrak, where you then get to... Well, no, I don't even like that. Because then you can only have one... Unless you have like Faithless Looting in the format, you'll only have like an Opt or something. Okay, unless you go like Shock into Cathartic Union, discarding Teferi. And then you play this guy turn 3, and then Vedrak onto him turn 4. Then you get to return to your hand the Shock or Cathartic Union, and then you get to put Vedrak onto the battlefield. That's like a dream scenario that I don't think will happen very often. But I guess Cathartic Reunion... No! Yeah, I don't like it. That's what I'm saying. I think, honestly, the build for this might be Hero Precinct 1. So then you only have, like, 12 non-creature spells. Because you have your 4 Hero Precinct 1, 4 Lord Drakus, 4 Vedrak, or 3, he's legendary. That could be interesting. Because then you'll have enough 1/1s that you'll have mutate targets pretty easily. And effectively just has this guy cost 2 mana. The thing is with mutate, the way to really take advantage of it, I believe, is to mutate onto the same mutated creature. I guess you can still do that. You're still just seeing blow up potential. Yeah, the only way I see this working is either Jeskai Hero Precinct 1, which I will definitely build around, guys. You best believe I'm going to try to make that work. Can I also just say this artwork is fantastic? That's kind of why I'm distracted right now. But yeah, I don't like the tension between the mutate effects and the non-creature effects, because mutate makes you require even more creatures than normal, which is already a problem in these decks. So, I don't know, maybe you just play this in like an Arc Late Phoenix decks, and this is like a late game thing. But if you're going late game, you're already going to play the Red Finale instead, and that type of deck. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. I only see it playable in a Jeskai Tokens Hero Precinct 1 type deck, for the reasons listed. We already saw Migration Path. Forbidden Friendship, 1 in red for sorcery, create a 1/1 red dino with haste and a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So the types on this are really interesting, and you're effectively giving up instant speed to get haste on this guy, as opposed to, what is it, raise the alarm, sound the alarm. I think the creature types could matter. If there's something that interacts with, you know, you having different creature types, I think that could be really powerful in that regard. It is a red, it's like, gosh, what was that spell? Dragon Fodder? Or Krankos Command? It kind of reminds me of those, but one of them is haste, so that's kind of cool. It's neat to have a red token generator. Usually you have to splash into white to have those. So maybe this could allow some like red-green token decks. Because we do have that dude, Grumgully, who can make that a 2/2 hasty dino. Or you have Domri, the 3-mana cost one that will pump all your tokens. That could be pretty interesting as well. Trying to think what else. But it's good with Convoke effects, so that's where you kind of want white in here. But yeah, I think there will probably be something, because we know there's a human archetype, there's a non-human archetype for the mutate effects. Oh wait, hold on, going back. Lord Dracus, does it make Hero of Precinct 1? Never mind, guys. Never mind. This thing can only mutate on the non-humans, and Hero Precinct 1 only makes humans, and is a human. So yeah, just another blow to this card. I want it to be good, but I just don't see it right now. I guess you could pair it with Forbidden Friendship and then mutate onto the dino if you're really, and then you get back Forbidden Friendship. Not really powerful enough to keep up with Uros and Nissas. But yeah, I think this could be a role player and token deck, and if there's a payoff for mixing those two archetypes, that could be kind of cool. Capture Sphere, we got 3 and a blue for an enchantment aura with flash. When it enters the battlefield, tap the enchanted creature, doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Limited card. Cathartic Reunion, you saw me mentioning this reprint earlier. I think it's actually pretty powerful with all the cycler effects, with cards like this guy, and a lot of ones that want you to be able to cast stuff from your graveyard. I think it could actually be really neat. We already have some Reanimator decks that are already working without this. It had like the 1 blue-black Lich dude who cycles. It had the 1 red Rakdos dude with Spectacle who cycles. They don't cycle, you know what I mean? They rummage. This is really good in those decks. It's really good in decks looking to, like that 1 white, blue, red creature, the Legendary Wizard. It can pump her up to like a 3/3 really quick. So that's pretty cool. Also, you can draw a ton of cards off of her. You'd be, wow. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So I can see it being a role player in those decks. I just still don't see those decks being good enough to overthrow the format. Maybe rotation. But right now, red kind of suffers because a lot of the threats in this format are just large. So, you know, 6/6 Uro, 10/10 Crasises, 3/5 Dream Trawlers that could tap down to protect themselves. So I don't see red being amazing right now, or blue-red rather. But I don't know, man. Maybe Beacon Bolt can make it with some Cathartic Reunions. But yeah, it's really all I see it as a role play right now. There's some cool graveyard synergies that maybe you could get off of like a Jundark type. But a lot of the graveyard stuff is like Abzan, so going a 4th color for red for that doesn't seem Good. Frontland to Faladar, 2 green, white for a 3/5 cat beast with vigilance. Creatures you control vigilance have pay 1 and tap to tap target creature. I guess if you have a deck full of vigilance creatures, maybe you can make this thing work. But this is a sorcery, so it's not like you can attack and then cast this. Plus you're just gonna be tapping down anyway. Trying to think of a lot of good vigilance creatures in standard right now. Nissa lands. They could tap themselves to tap down opponent creatures. That's kind of interesting, actually. But usually they just hold back most of your opponent's creatures anyway. I mean, that could be kind of good. Like, red against mono red or something. If you have like 3 Nissa lands, I mean, you're already kind of winning at that point anyway. You could use 1 to tap down the Annex, or if you're against black red, 1 to tap down the Regisaur, the Rotting Regisaur, and then you can just have 2 back to block the other dudes. That's kind of interesting. Can't really think of a lot of other vigilance creatures in standard though. But the thing is, vigilance already. Kunaros. Does he have vigilance? I think he has menace, lifelink. Yeah, and vigilance. So that's something you could do if you want to go Abzan with it. But the whole point of vigilance is that it makes you not. It makes you be able to attack without having to worry about the crackback. So I guess this, you should be looking at it more aggressively. So like you can attack with all your vigilance creatures and then pay 1 to tap down their dudes to hit in for damage. And then you're kind of losing the benefit of vigilance. But if you are attacking with like, let's say 3 creatures and you only have to tap with 1, then you'll still be able to protect yourself on the crackback. These could be interesting. A 5 toughness body is pretty important in this format. It even survives like lava coil and stuff. So it has a lot of survivability. I'll have to see more creatures with vigilance before I'm really impressed with it. And I just don't know what you're really targeting. It's cool to tap down Uro. Cool to tap down Dream Trawler. Cool to tap down an Annex defensively. I can maybe see it as like a sideboard card against aggressive decks. Or maybe, like maybe 1 or 2 main deck. You can tap down Dream Trawlers and Uros. But you need enough cheap vigilance creatures for this to work out, so I don't know. You could play it with the 4-mana Johnny, and that'd be kind of cool. He gives all your creatures vigilance. It's kind of a high curve, though. We're talking like turn 4 this, turn 5 a Johnny. Turn 6, start doing stuff. I guess if you grow Spiral, you can do all that a turn earlier. But yeah, show me more vigilance creatures, and this could be decent. Already saw these. Sanctuary Lockdown, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Humans you control get +1/+1. Whoa. Okay. Pay 2 and tap 2 human creatures. Untap human creatures you control. Tap target creature and opponent controls. Wow, it's like the world's worst opposition. The fact it costs mana makes me feel like this effect just isn't good enough. If it cost even 1, I'd be like, maybe. If it cost 0, I'd be like, that's decent. 2 is rough, but the fact you're getting I would see this as the Anthem effect, and this is just a rare thing that might come up. But I could see myself kind of playing this for the Anthem effect. The one thing I'm worried about is all of them costing 3 right now, so your 3 slot might be kind of rough, because the other Anthem we have is the General, and then the other Anthem we have is the Icon of Ancestry. Pretty sure that's still in standard. So yeah, ideally you want like a 2-mana one as well. But yeah, I could see myself playing this in Humans deck, especially if you're going super wide with like the tokens build. That could be cool. I see myself probably wanting to go more the utility build, where you're just playing the most powerful ones and their power and toughness is kind of incidental. But yeah, I think Icon of Ancestry actually has a better bonus to it, other than the Anthem effect. So, and it's colorless, so it's easier to cast. Yeah, I think Icon of Ancestry. Let me just make sure. Icon of Ancestry. Course of 2020. Yep, same set as Yarok. So, yeah, I think until after rotation, I think Icon's just better. Because this just, it's too expensive and takes too many creatures out of it. Because the Anthem wants you to go wide, and then when you go wide, you have to like they work together, but then also by the time you tap down 2 of their dudes, assuming you have 6 creatures out, you're attacking with like 2 dudes, probably for like, I don't know, 4 or 5. Kind of underwhelming. And it costs 2 mana. That costs 4 mana. Yeah, that's just too much. Exuberant Wolf Bear. 3 and a green for a 4/4 Wolf Bear. Nice. Whenever Exuberant Wolf Bear attacks, you may change the base power and toughness of target creature human you control to Exuberant Wolf Bear's power and toughness till end of turn. So that's kind of cool. There's that War of the Spark dude. He's a 2 mana 2/1 that gets counters when you have a 4/4 out. And then you can just make him a 4/4 and his counters bump him even higher. So like turn 5, you're attacking for like 8. That's pretty neat. If you stack it properly, you have the 2 mana 2/2 in green that when he attacks buffs a dude. So you attack, buff him to a 6/6, and then you make Sir Farron, I think. You make him into a 6/6, you're taking for 12 turn 5. It's kind of cool. Play some of those guys in the Great Henge. But other than that, he just seems kind of slow. And those cards are all pretty meh. Sir Farron's decent in like a mono green beatdown deck, but just seems kind of too slow. But those are some fun synergies I'm excited for. I'm trying to think what else. There's that Beetle from Theros that when you have a creature power 4 or greater, you put a counter on it. That's also one that pumps up. So you have like 3 different 2-drops right there that mix really well with this. If you want to go like a cheap mono green beatdown, remind me to play that, guys. I think there's like a budget mono green beatdown deck to be had here, because those are all uncommons. So yeah, there you go, guys. Cub Warden, 3 and a white for a 3/5 cat with lifelink. Whenever this creature mutates, create 2 1/1 cat creature tokens with lifelink, and he mutates for 4. We've been seeing 4 mana cost cats that make 2 1/1 cats, with all of them with lifelink for a while now. That's what seems pretty good. Could you imagine, like, turn 3, the Gnar, the 1 blue-green for 3/3 mutate, get a 3/3? You play him, turn 4 you play this. The mana's kind of rough, because you need blue-green on turn 3, and then double white turn 4. But then you get 3 creatures, 5 extra power and toughness from that. It's pretty decent. If you have a lot of cheap mutate creatures to put on top of this, that can also replace themselves, I think that's pretty cool. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if 2 1/1s is really worth like a full card. That's where I'm thinking, like, mutating this onto something else, I think I'd rather just have the 3/5 body. But yeah, a Bant build with that seems kind of cool. I just still think that's more powerful than like an Uro into Nissa or something like that. Again, after rotation, I think a lot of these will be powerful, depending on how the lands work out. But right now, I want to like this, but just the fact that mutate kind of inherently puts you down a card, the way I'm seeing it is, because the way you got to look at it, right, is if you have a 3-drop out or a 2-drop out, that's like a 2/2. You're effectively paying 4 mana. Would you play a card that's 4 mana? It says this creature gets +2/+2, put 2 1/1s onto the battlefield. And potentially, if you put another card onto this, you can get 2 more 1/1s. Like, I don't think I would play that card. But the fact you offset the downside of that being an enchantment by being able to play it as a creature is kind of some value. But, like I said, the way I'm kind of evaluating these is the effect worth a card? And I don't think so. So I think I'm kind of meh on this guy until we see some cheaper mutate creatures, or even just like cheap creatures with mutate effects that are good, which I think would be too powerful. But I guess you could play like the 1 in a blue 1/3 toad, and then this the next turn. The mana's kind of tough on that. You need to go from blue to double white, but that could be interesting. I don't know, man. Put this in like a Convoke deck. But yeah, like I said, the powerful effects are ones that can create. This could go pretty decent in the Jeskai build, maybe, because it gets you more creatures to mutate onto. But getting those first non-human creatures to mutate onto seems kind of rough. So I don't know. Seems like decent, but not great, I would say, based on first look. But here's one that's interesting to me. Lurus of the Dream Den. 1 and then 2 hybrid of either black or white for 3/2 Cat Nightmare, sweet creature type. Companion, each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less. Okay. Lifelink, during each of your turns you may cast 1 permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. So the payoff for this is really powerful. You just get to cast a free spell from your graveyard. Here's my problem. You're building your entire deck to synergize around this, right? But it doesn't follow its own stipulation. So you can't play more than one of this in your deck. You need one companion one, and then it just dies. So important to know, I read it first is each card in your deck has CMC 2 or less. It's each permanent card, so you can still play powerful spells. Not sure how that shakes things up, but you play this thing out, you build your entire deck around it, and then it just gets shocked. Or stopped. Or Scorching Dragonfire. Or disfigured. People are saying that could be a little, you know, oh, dies to removal isn't an argument. But when it dies to every removal that's played a lot in the format, that's an argument. So if every deck has something that easily kills this, and your entire deck was built around it, that's pretty ugh. One thing I will say is you can play Omen of the Dead to get its back. You could play, Disentomb. That's a card that costs, that you can do. You can play Find Finality, because that's not a permanent card, I guess, to get this back. You can play Order of Midnight. That's a permanent card to get this back. So there are ways to kind of mitigate the cost of this thing dies. Your deck just, and the entire restriction is worth nothing now. I'm trying to think of spells that make this better. We saw that 3-mana spell that gets rid of cards with CMC, total CMC 3 or less, and gives them Death Touch or Menace. Or Menace. So you could play that because it's not a permanent card. So that could be kind of a payoff for that for this deck. Command the Dreadhorde could be pretty good because then all of your cards you're getting back cost very little. You could still play Planeswalkers. Okay, so we can kind of work with like a Johnny, Adversary of Heroes. Although he's not in standard anymore, is he? Yeah. But yeah, so I think you pair him with like Planeswalkers and powerful kind of reanimation spells because you know you're going to have a lot of permanents in your deck. But yeah, him with like Order of Midnight and stuff seems pretty good to me. Maybe... No. I was going to say you can't play the adventure creatures because all of them have too high CMC. Otherwise you could play like Lucky Clover and Edgewall Innkeeper. But yeah, none of them cost less than 3 CMC. Okay. But yeah, the thing I don't like about him is that you can't play him in his own deck. So you can't have like 2 main deck, 1 companion. So that's why I don't like it. But I think there's something to be had here, and I'll definitely brew around it. The fact that permanent card is the thing in there, and we have so many cheap reanimation effects, I think it'd be good. You just don't want to play Omen of the Dead. So you're going to have to rely on that new 3-mana cost one or Order of Midnight to get some sweet jank brews going. But you know I love my graveyard value. 3-mana 3/2 lifelink is like a fine body. This effect is what you're working really hard for. Huh. So, yeah. Maybe if we can get like 2-mana cost mutate effects, but none of them will probably have higher stats than this. So, yeah, that's a bummer. And then we got Patagonia Tiger, 4 and white for 3/4 cat with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target human you control gets +2/+2. Limited card, could be cool with blink effects. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor, 1 and a red for an instant. It deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. If that creature planeswalker would die this turn, exile instead. Nice! So, this is just a better lava coil in the decks that want it. It's like a slightly... I was going to say worse Beacon Bolt, but it can hit planeswalkers. I think this is a good card. The exile effect is really important in this format. Yeah, I think this is a good reason to go blue-red. Or like Grixis spells or something, I don't know. Yeah, and it's instant speed. Dang, dude. Yeah, this seems really good in those decks. I don't really know what else to say. Tentative Connection. 3 in red for sorcery. Costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with menace. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, gains haste. So it becomes a 1 mana active treason if you have a creature with menace. And we saw a lot of stuff that gives your creatures menace counters. So that's a little bit more doable at this point. Otherwise, we do have that. Oh, that's like a whole thing in this format, because we saw that black and red menace dude. And then the 1 black kind of vampire Nighthawk dude who can get menace. Oh my gosh, yeah, this seems like a decent sideboard card in those decks. It's like people are already playing in the Cat Oven decks. Gosh, what is that card? It's the one that takes CMC 3 or less creature. So this could slot in if you have the right build. So yeah, I think this could be a French sideboard playable. But otherwise, that's all the cards for the day, guys. Thanks. Oh, no, there's one more. Sorry, I came in on Sunday, so I forgot. We got Professional Stunt Performer. 2 in white for a 3/3 human soldier. As it enters the battlefield, choose odd or even. It has protection from the chosen CMC. So this is another reason that both of those odds or evens decks could be just blown out. If those become a huge part of the meta, just play this. Important to note, the translation's important here. If it's when it enters the battlefield, you can respond to the trigger and kill it even if you're an odds or even deck. If it's as it enters the battlefield, you can't. Also, if it's when it enters the battlefield, you can pair this with Yarok, have it trigger twice, and then you have protection from odds and even. That's pretty decent, I would say. But then you can't put any auras on it or anything to make it better, so you just have a 3/3 unblockable. Going into 4 colors to have a 3/3 unblockable seems not worth. I mean, he does more than that. Unblockable, unkillable, sure. Just not a super fast clock, and then you just get hit with the sweeper. But I expect it to be this, so seems fine sideboard card. But yeah, that's all our spoilers for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you tomorrow with another video. Have a good one.